Welcome to lecture 5.3. Here I'm going to introduce the concept of Newman projections, which are a handy way of looking at a molecule from a new perspective, and they're going to help us understand rotational isomers. So rotational isomers are two different versions of a molecule or more that differ by rotation. Now remember that rotation is something that we're only going to see with sp3 carbons, since once we have pi bonds are unable to rotate. That includes double bonds and triple bonds. So as an example here, I've drawn a 2-carbon compound, and instead of adding the substituents, I've just labeled them A, B, C, and D so we can track them easily. Now, real quick, when someone mentions the rotation of a molecule, I just want to show you that it's quite easy to draw on 2D paper. So in this case, let's keep these 3 substituents, A, B, and C, in the same location and just redraw them as they are. So A is going down with a straight line in the plane of the page. B stays on a wedge, which means that it's coming out towards us. And C means that we're going underneath the page or within the page. Now, we can keep this bond the same, but since we're rotating the bond, what we're going to do is we're going to rotate this atom specifically. And what we'll do is we'll say, well, as long as we keep this bond the same, here, we can rotate these 3 substituents, as long as they're all moving in the same direction. So, for example, I'm not able to just swap D and E. That isn't something that can be done by rotation. But I could imagine rotating D to be where E is currently, which would push E to where F is, and that would push F to where D is. And as long as I make that full circle, I can imagine that full rotation. What I like to do here is just redraw the same wedges and dashes and straight lines, and then change the substituents. So here, D has moved to the location of E previously. E has moved to the location of F, and F has moved up to the straight line. And here you can see that the underlying lines here, so all the straight lines, the wedges, and the dashes look very similar, but the molecule has a different orientation of atoms. Now, these molecules are the same molecule. All we've done is rotate them. But if we look at it and we change these letters for more carbons, this would look different on paper. So we need a better system to understand rotation, and this is where the Newman projection comes in. So the Newman projection is a very handy tool to understand the 3D structure of a molecule, and I'm going to show you these 2 examples here. Now here, this is another example of a rotated molecule, but you'll notice a bit of a difference between these 2 structures here. Here we see that the straight lines are both going downward, where here we see that they're actually changed. One is going upwards and one is going downwards. You can see that A, B, and C appear to be the exact same, but that this atom here has been rotated, as we did above. So to understand the relationship of these substituents on 2 different atoms, this is where the Newman projection becomes very handy. Now the way we're going to do the Newman projection is to assume a new perspective. And what I'll do here is I'll draw a little eyeball. Now you can draw this little eyeball from the left or the right side. It doesn't necessarily matter unless you're given a question that tells you to take a certain perspective. And what this is going to do is we're going to imagine that we're looking at this molecule from the side of the page, from within the plane of the page, in this direction. Now, we're always going to be looking down a specific bond, and this is probably the most important part of the Newman projection. Let's go ahead and number the carbons 1 and 2. From this perspective, we would see carbon 1 first, and carbon 2 would be behind carbon 1. So what we're going to do is we're going to label carbon 1 with a dot and carbon 2 with a bigger circle. Now this is what we're going to see in the Newman projection, which is something like this. I can probably draw a better circle than that. There we are. So the dot here represents carbon 1. And anything connected to carbon 1, which would include A, B, and C, will be drawn out of that dot. Now the back circle represents carbon 2. So technically we've already drawn this bond here between 1 and 2, which we can imagine is the dot extending backwards to that circle. Now anything connected to the second carbon, carbon 2, which is D, E, and F, that's going to come out from the edge of the circle. So using that, let's try to add in these substituents. My advice is always to start with the straight lines, the things that are within the plane of the page. Now these are always going to be going either straight up or straight down. when you're looking at these positions. For this first case, let's look at substituent A. We see that we have substituent A going downwards from our perspective, and so that's going to look something like this, evolving from the center dot, going straight down. That's where we're going to see A. Now we can do D as well here, because D is also on a straight line. It's in the plane of the page. And we see that D is also going straight down from our perspective. Right? We can't really see if it's going towards us or away from us here from this perspective. So the way we're going to do this, I would want to draw it exactly in the same location, but that's a little messy. So typically we offset this a little bit by doing something like this. So here we see that A and D are kind of overlapping in our perspective when we look from the left side of the molecule. Now, to finish in the rest of this, let's look at B and C, which are connected to the center dot. Now, this takes some getting used to, a little bit of practice, usually solidifies this pretty quickly. But from this perspective, since B is coming out of the page, it would actually appear from this perspective to be going upwards to the right. That's because it's on a wedge, which from our perspective right here, looking at the page, not from the Newman perspective, we'd say it's coming towards us. So you can imagine that looking from this perspective would have that B substituent going to the right. That means that the C substituent is then going to the left. So now we're done with the first atom. Now for the second atom, you can do the same work again, or you can realize that, well, if B was on a wedge and that meant it was going to the right, so too will E. And we'll see the same overlap that we saw for A and D. That leaves us with F to finish up, which we can put here as well. So D, E, and F are connected to the back circle, and that's because they're connected to carbon 2. And that's how we can draw the Newman projection here. Now, when we see the Newman projection looking like this, where these bonds are kind of overlapping, we have a word for that in chemistry, and we're going to call that eclipsing. So essentially, this is just another word for overlapping. We'll talk more about this in a moment. Now, let's look at this one. Here we can see that, let's quickly draw our dot and circle again, and we'll take the same perspective. We can see that carbon 1 again is our dot, carbon 2 is our circle, so we can draw the framework of our Newman projection. And we see that A is going straight down again. Right? And we can also fill in B and C as it's the same as it was in the first molecule. B going up to the right, and C going up to the left. Now, the second carbon has been rotated. Again, my advice is always to look at the things that are straight in line with the page, not the wedges and dashes first. And here you can see that from this perspective, we would see that D is actually going upwards from carbon 2. So we would draw that in like this. And you can see now that there's a good distance, about 60 degrees for the math folks out there, between these substituents. A little more roomy, if you would. Now to finish this up, we're going to need to figure out the position of E and F. From this perspective, a wedge is going to be going downward to the right, and so we would draw F in like so, and E going downward to the left. If you're confused about how to convert the wedges and dashes to left and right, we'll have a few practice problems at the end of this lecture to help solidify that concept. Now, when we see that the Newman projection has this nice distance between every substituent, we're going to call this staggered, as the bonds are staggered. Now, that's excellent. Now that we have an idea of how these Newman projections are made and what this representation means, let's apply this to a simple molecule, ethane. So here's a similar situation, but now we have all the substituents being the same. They're all hydrogen. So to draw the Newman projection of this first example, from this perspective, I would see that there's a hydrogen going down on the first carbon and a hydrogen going up on the second carbon. Now, my quick trick advice here is when you see that these straight lines are going in opposite direction, that's a good sign that this is the staggered conformation. To finish this up, we have on the first carbon, hydrogens going up to the left and the right. And on the second carbon with the circle, hydrogens going down to the left and right. And this is indeed the staggered conformation of ethane. Now, one thing to know about the staggered conformation is that it is definitely more stable than the eclipsed conformation. And the reason is for something we're going to call torsional strain. And we're going to discuss that in the next section. Now, looking at this version, or this rotational isomer of ethane, number 2, we'll take our same Newman projection perspective. We see now that the hydrogens on the front and back carbon are both pointed downwards. The wedges are aligned to the left, or actually the wedges are aligned to the right, and the dashes are aligned to the left. Again, these aren't perfect overlaps, but when we draw them side by side like this, it's assumed that we're discussing a perfect overlap. And so this is the eclipsed conformation, which is less stable. Now we'll talk about why in a moment. So essentially, as you rotate these hydrogens, we can imagine, let's take this front carbon to convert it to this Newman projection. If we took this front carbon, which is everything connected to the front carbon, and rotated it 60 degrees, we would be able to make the eclipsed conformation, as all these hydrogens would be overlapping. Another 60 degrees, and you'd be back to staggered. A way to understand this is with a graphical representation. Now, on the x-axis for these units, you're going to see something called the dihedral angle, which can be quite the scary word. But briefly looking at the examples here to the right, we discuss bond angles when we're looking at bonds that are connected to the same atom, like in this case, where they're both connected to the dot. A dihedral angle is just the way of saying it's a similar angle, except one bond is connected to one atom, in this case the front carbon, and the other bond is connected to the second atom, in this case the back carbon. So we're discussing the angles of the Newman projection here. So starting with a dihedral angle of 0, we're going to have, that means, everything overlapping. There's no angle difference between them. So this is going to be the unstable eclipsed conformation. Once we rotate to the 60-degree position, we're going to be staggered. And this is going to continue to alternate every 60 degrees. And what we see is this simple repeating wave, which kind of describes the energy of the overall molecule as you rotate it. Now, this is a useful tool, but ethane is a simple case. First, before we go into a more complicated molecule like butane, let's break down the different kinds of strain that we're going to see in these molecules, specifically the torsional strain I brought up earlier, and a new type of strain called steric strain.